Just interesting.
Good evening and welcome to the West Milton Council meeting for September 11th, 2018. I'd like everybody to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for the invocation by Miss Dom from the Transfiguration Church. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father in heaven, I commend to you those gathered here. Thank you for their ability to be involved in guiding the community and the willingness of bearing that responsibility. Thank you for loving us with your boundless and gracious nature. I pray for the agenda set before them today. Give them an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in and around West Milton. On this day when 17 years ago our country suffered a grievous terrorist attacks, remember those who perished and their surviving families who still mourn their loss. Spread your protecting arms over our first responders in this country and in our particular community who guard us and keep us safe, and also safeguard our many military members, especially those from this community who serve in this country and overseas. We pray this in the name of our Savior and Lord. Amen.
Amen.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Miller?
Present.
Land?
Here.
Cobb? Here. Hurst?
Here.
Vogel?
Here.
Warren?
Here.
And Grudich. Here.
I believe at the workshop meeting, Councilman Fogel was absent. Are there any motions?
I'll make a motion to excuse Councilman Fogel.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Land?
Yes.
Cobb?
Yes.
Hertz?
Yes.
Fogel?
Abstain.
Dorman?
Yes.
Grudich?
Yes.
And Mayor Miller.
Yes. Everyone should have received minutes for the council workshop on August the 14th, as well as the meeting on August the 14th and the workshop on August the 28th. Are there any questions regarding the
Make a motion, we accept said minutes.
Second?
roll call, please?
Land?
Yes.
Cobb?
Yes.
Hertz?
Yes.
Fogel?
Yes.
Dorman?
Yes.
Grudich?
Yes.
And Mayor Miller.
Yes. Manager Klein, is there any correspondence to council?
Thank you, Mayor. There is one this evening. It's always comes this month. It's from the Miami County Budget Commission. I put a copy at everyone's desk. It's general housekeeping that each municipality has to do every year. Miami County Budget Commission meets to approve and set the property tax millage for each of the communities. It does require a motion and acceptance of each of the councils. For that, you will see it's the same as it's always been, the 10 mil limitation to the general fund, which comes out to 3.4 mils for the village of West Milton. And then the street levy, which is being hopefully renewed this November. It expires at the end of this year, or end of technically 2019. It's a 3 mil levy, and those are the revenues. The revenue estimates are $213,000 and about $182,000.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I move that council accept the rates of tax as determined by the Miami County Budget Commission for the year 2018.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
After the meeting, I'll need to grab a few of your signatures on the original forms, and Jill will mail back to the Budget Commission tomorrow. And that's all the correspondence we have this evening.
We'll move along to comments from citizens regarding the legislation tonight. There are two pieces. The first is an ordinance, the first reading to amend the zoning map. The second one is a resolution to purchase property. Seeing no comments. CM-18-30, an ordinance to amend the zoning map. Ms. Brosh.
It's an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of West Milton as adopted by chapter 150.006 of the West Milton Code of Ordinances. Whereas the West Milton Planning Board received a petition to modify the zoning district boundary of a parcel of real estate described as in-lot number 1441, a 1.25 acre parcel of ground from A1 Agricultural District to A1 Single Family Residential District. Oh, to R1, sorry, Single Family Residential District. And whereas council has received an affirmative recommendation from the West Milton Planning Board to amend the official zoning map of West Milton by changing the zoning district boundary to the parcel of real estate being described as in-lot 1441 from A1 Agricultural District to R1 Single Family Residential District. And whereas Section 150.319C requires council to modify zoning boundaries by ordinance as prescribed by West Milton Charter, Section 4.14. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of West Milton, Ohio, that Section 1, council accepts the recommendation of the West Milton Planning Board to modify the zoning district boundary of the parcel of real estate described as in-lot 1441, a 1.25 acre tract of property from A1 Agricultural District to R1 Single Family Residential District. See Exhibit A attached. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect 10 days after the second reading and approval by council.
Thank you, Ms. Brosh. Manager Cohen.
Yes, Mayor. Everyone might be familiar, and they're included the exhibits in your packet. That's 1.25 acre tract of land. It's on the southeast corner of Frederick Garland and 48 South Miami. This is the first of two readings. Typically, the planning board held their meeting last week. They held a public hearing. Those surrounding property owners were notified as by our code. We will do the same again for the council, because council, although not required, has always typically held a public hearing on any zoning matters. We typically do that on the second reading, which would be our October meeting. It's surrounded by A1, R, and also business. So it's pretty much a mixed use down there. So this is just the first reading.
Just curious, at the meeting that was held last week, did any of the property owners that live in that vicinity, did they show up to the meeting?
No, sir. Nobody showed up except the potential purchaser. He and Mrs. Vogel came to the meeting, but none of the other surrounding. The code requires us to notify everyone within 200 feet. So we actually did 300 feet, so we could actually capture at least 3 property owners. None of them came to the meeting. So it's mostly farmhouses down in that area. So I suppose another single family home doesn't seem to bother them.
Very good. Thank you.
But we'll do this again at the next meeting.
Moving on to CM-18-31, a resolution to purchase property. Ms. Brosh.
It's a resolution to authorize the municipal manager to purchase real estate on behalf of the municipality of West Milton. Whereas the municipal manager on behalf of council for the municipality of West Milton has negotiated in good faith to purchase real property located at 28 Lowry Drive, West Milton, Ohio. And whereas the owner of said real property has accepted the negotiated purchase price of $180,000 for same. And whereas council for the municipality of West Milton is in agreement with the terms of the purchase contract. Now therefore be it resolved by the council of the municipality of West Milton, Ohio, that Section 1, the municipal manager has negotiated in good faith to purchase real property located at 28 Lowry Drive, West Milton, Ohio. Section 2, the owner of said real property has accepted the negotiated purchase price of $180,000 for said property. Section 3, the municipal manager is authorized to execute a contract for the purchase of real property located at 28 Lowry Drive, West Milton, Ohio, for the negotiated purchase price of $180,000.
Thank you. Manager Clark.
Yes, I started here in 2012. Some of you on council started about the same time in 2012. And that year, we really started to get, not only to get to know each other, but to understand the departments that were working for us. We went in 2012 and 13 and hired Sharp Conway Architects in trying to identify a way for us to be able to grow, because quite frankly, if you've ever had the opportunity, and I hope that you haven't, but we've tried to do that in an open house, you'll see how small the space is for the police department. And it's quite cramped quarters. We have a very professional police department, and in some cases, when you have either a suspect and or a victim that you need to interview, the quarters are too tight for any privacy. So in working with Sharp Conway, one of the things we did back in 2012 was identify the Long & Associates building, which is literally 6 to 10 feet away from us, right over here, as a potential place that would allow us to grow but yet stay in place. I went to Chris probably back in 2013 and asked him if and when there would ever be that opportunity, if we would at least be given consideration for a right of first refusal. Obviously, Long & Associates have decided, I assume they've publicly announced this, but they've decided that they are retiring at the end of this year. They did approach me and asked if we would still consider the purchase of the building. Lifestyle Realty actually appraised the property for upwards to around $170,000 2 years ago. It's actually a very large space, should meet our needs, and is a really an opportunity for us to not only stay in place, but when the time comes and we are in a financial position that or the quarters have become too tight, we have an opportunity to grow. So the opportunity has approached us now. It does not mean that when we purchase this building in the next month or so, when we close on it, that we're going to be moving there right away. I would still like to budget for 2019 a Sharp Conway study as to how we would utilize that property. In the meantime, it's also an opportunity for us to, perhaps there's a new business that would like to start off, maybe rent that space for a few years until we get into a financial position to make that what we need it to be. But when the opportunities come about at a very good price, you have to make that decision. So we present this opportunity to you tonight. It would be our recommendation that we could stay in place, be able to grow, maybe use it as an incubator for a new business for the next 2, 3, 4 years or whatever, until we get to that opportunity that we need to move. But the opportunity's now, and it's a good one.
Are there any grants or anything that you explored in the past for anything like this for expansion that we could possibly
Not to purchase, but there's potentially other grants in the future for helping us to expand indoor
right
for the police department.
for remodeling,
for remodeling
whatever.
or expand, that
Yeah.
type of thing. So I actually got a hold of Nikki Reese. She used to do the grant work for the county and then for Piqua. She hung out her shingle, and she's been doing some research for me. Nothing out there right now for purchase.
But at
So-
least down the road, we might be able to look into something for the remodeling, refurbish, what have you.
Right.
Cool.
But the other opportunity, and it should be explained, is that it's a good financial opportunity for us in that the contract we negotiated with the Longs is that it's $180,000, but we were only paying $80,000 in this budget year, 2018. And then we'll pay $100,000 come January, which would actually be in the 2019 budget. But at today's rates, being what they are, we're kicking around the idea of making a recommendation to you is putting down $50,000 in 2019, doing a small 3-year borrow, which only comes out to a little less than $18,000 a year for budget years 2020, 2021, and 2022. So that might be our recommendation come December. But it's a good opportunity to be able to at least split the budget years as well. And it's actually their request to split it up that way.
Good. All right, I'd like to make a motion for approval of CM 18-31, a resolution for authorizing the purchase of the Long and Associates Building at 28 Lowry Drive.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Land.
Yes.
Cobb. Yes. Ernst.
Yes.
Vogel.
Yes.
Dorman.
Yes.
Grudich.
Yes.
And Mayor Miller.
Yes. Moving on to the manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, guests, welcome. Only a few items for this evening. Everyone's probably wondering what happened, why the paving in McDonald's at the main intersection 571 and 48. This is an Ohio Department of Transportation project. We're very thankful for ODOT for doing this project for us. One of the things that we required during the engineering was that intersection needed to be paved with what's called super pave. You may have gone to some town from time to time and come to an intersection and you noticed when you came to a stop sign, the pavement might have been rough. And that's what's called like an accordion. What happens there is you get heavy trucks that come up to the stop sign or heavy vehicles and they'll brake and they actually accordion the pavement. There is a product called Super Pave, which is exactly what it says. It's a heavier pavement that prevents that accordion effect. That whole intersection is supposed to have been super paved. So that evening, that first Friday evening when they paved it all, ODOT took the tickets, realized that the pavement they were putting down was not super pave. So they had to tear it all back out. Their expense, none on ours end. And then, of course, the rains came. Then it rained some more. Then it rained some more. But finally, they did finish it last night. It is super paved. It's been completely paved. So that most of the paving now has all been done. There is some minor work that needs to be done along Miami. There's a couple water boxes that need to be adjusted. There's some curbing, concrete curbs that need to be re-poured, some things of that nature, but nothing big or major. And then that intersection will be striped, hopefully by this Friday, weather permitting, and the weather looks like it's supposed to be pretty decent. So they'll be putting down what's called thermal. It's a heavier, it's not just paint, it's a heavier product, more permanent in nature. So that'll all be striped and done by this Friday. The loops are underground wires that when you come to when you come to one of the intersections and it calls for the light to change, all of those should have been or will have been changed by the end of this week. In fact, if you're going home, you might want to avoid that intersection right now because they're working there tomorrow night. And they'll be working all night to do the final loops. So that whole thing will be done. Ben and I will be going down by this Friday to downtown to do the measuring for the new parking spaces, the new crosswalks at the corner of Hamilton and Miami, and also the new crosswalk from Croplands to Doc Polling's. Once we do all those measurements and mark all that off, we're hoping that the thermal company will come in next Monday and start that work. So hopefully by middle of next week, all of that will be done. And then the project will be pretty much finished. Today being 9/11, you may or may not remember the last couple of years there has been an annual memorial ride. They call it a remembrance ride. It's mostly that's motorcycles that get together. They come through town and they'll be doing that because of the weather this past Sunday. They're going to do it this Saturday, the 15th. So they'll be coming in to town off of from Tip area into town off 571. They'll cross the bridge. They'll turn left onto South Miami and exit town toward Union. We're anticipating them to be here around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We have now traditionally, the last couple of years, both our police and fire have given them an escort through town. And fire department, I know, is getting ready around 2 o'clock in the afternoon and probably setting up for the escort at the golf course and bringing them through town around 3 o'clock is what we're told to anticipate. So if you want to see the parade for remembrance of 9/11, I would suggest you camp out there around 3 o'clock or a little bit before on South Miami. Saturday, September 22nd, will be this year's Fall Fling Car Show. Put the flyer each of you have. The flyers were just printed up. Rotary pays for those flyers, and they're being distributed now by Brian Tomlinson and his crew. Typically, this starts around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We have traditionally shut the streets down downtown around 1:30 in the afternoon. It'll go till dusk. And then also, we're September, which means it's time to start thinking about next year's budget. So we will be meeting with the Budget Committee next Tuesday, and then we'll give a full report to all of council at the workshop. What we try to do in our schedule is we do at least 2 months' worth of work, September and October, with council and presenting a budget, and then we'll present a budget at our November meeting, have a second reading in December with any adjustments, so we're ready to rock and roll on January 1st for the new budget. Yes, sir.
Couple questions. I was looking back at our memo, and in our memo that you provided to us on Friday, it said the Remembrance Ride, the 9/11 ride, is Sunday, September 16th. So I just want to confirm, because I've told people that
Yeah.
it was moved to Sunday, September 16th, but in here you said it
That was
was
Saturday the
Saturday the
15th.
15th. So I'm just trying to find out, I'm assuming it is probably Saturday, because it was supposed to be last Saturday.
Right.
But I just want to make sure before I tell folks, because people asked the other day at church.
The email that I received from Ben says the 16th.
Yeah, it does say the 16th. That's a mistake for tonight. It's
Okay.
Sunday the 16th.
So it is Sunday the 16th?
Sunday the 16th.
Okay, all right,
I'm reading Ben's email right now.
okay. And I know I've asked a couple times, because people have been asking me questions about the bridge and about the other things in town was still construction and so forth. Can you give everybody an update as well of how much longer?
They should have the
they'll be
bridge
working on
torn
the
down
bridge?
here in another week.
Okay,
No.
very good. Okay,
Oh, okay. No, what they're doing, you may recall, council had to approve ODOT's work of this probably about a year and a half ago. What they're doing is they're redoing the abutments. The abutments are where the bridge connects to the regular road. And they're actually, believe it or not, they're actually raising that bridge up just slightly. And they should, if they haven't, I haven't been out there today. They were supposed to switch the traffic over. They have the one side finished. If they haven't switched the traffic over yet, as of today, they'll be doing that this week, they've told us. So they'll be switching the lanes and doing the north side lanes, starting here in this week sometime, once they get it switched. Again, I haven't been out there today, so they weren't switched yet, so they should be switching them this week.
So what do they do, just shim that a little? You know?
Just the wood shims, then break it off.
I'd recommend cedar, it doesn't rot.
Locust is good too. No, it's they'll tear out reconcrete everything. They redo everything there on both ends. And actually, they're underneath the bridge too, doing work to get it all leveled back up. It was built and dedicated in 1984, so this is the first work they've done on it since 1984. So, I was joking when they're not tearing down the bridge.
That was good. Hey, I can take a boat across. Yeah. I got a kayak. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm sure the.
And
public will
I'm
appreciate that.
I can only suppose and guess that it'll take them as long as it did on the south side of the bridge. It'll take at least that long to do the north side of the bridge.
Thanks. And now, are they done with all the sidewalk work, like on the corners and all that type of stuff?
Mostly, there's a checklist of some things they need to come back and do slight fixes, but yes, the majority of all the work has been finished now along. Now it's a separate job. Bridge is one job, Miami's a different job, totally different contractor.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Mhm.
Moving on to any old business tonight. Hearing none, any new business? Any comments tonight by citizens? Lively group, huh? Yeah, well, they are always lovely. In that case, move some motions to,
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Shoot.
Meeting is adjourned.
For the budget commission. I wasn't paying attention.
Very fast.